it's not like a new trend is better than the previous one. It could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just going to happen through everything because people just get bored.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or they've gotten used to it and they want to try something new. So there's trends are just going to continually happen. And maybe they'll be for the better, maybe for the worse, but they just continually change in every facet of business.
Welcome back to Expandable. We just came off that last episode talking about the major drivers in the commercial market, talking specifically about B2B businesses that serve other businesses. And, a lot of really good things to pay attention to. And I think on this one, we're looking at business to consumer, the consumer market, what drives those businesses, that economy.
Yeah.
I think you're even probably just as close as you are on the business side to consumers and what's happening there.
Yeah. I mean, and not that we're lending focus on the consumer side, but as we have deposits, you kind of,
you see the
flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we just jump into this, looking at drivers of the consumer market, obviously income levels and disposable income,
which disposable income is getting
household
eradicated.
Income. Let's say that again.
Disposable income is getting, reduced every day now.
Yeah. But, who are we talking about? We were talking to someone the other day talking about, there's still people traveling and, it seems like it's weird. Like you don't see like this happens in the market and then you see the natural effect that you should have. Like this happens, people stop spending here.
I don't see it like people stop spending.
Yeah,
so which is to me very concerning because I remember the first time that I noticed an economy and change, people spending patterns changed immediately, and I knew that was like in the 90s, in the 80s, and it's funny because it lent a lot on gas stations, and so when
their businesses went up,
costs were getting up.
Yeah,
you had the lower rent. More people were eating out of gas stations because they couldn't afford fast food or restaurants.
Yeah.
And that was 30, 40 years ago. Then that was 30 years ago.
Yeah,
that was going to happen. But then there are next recessions that didn't make any difference. People's habits change.
Yeah.
Now they're not looking at the cost at that.
Yeah.
And now even economically, they're looking to cut costs in different areas.
Yeah.
I still see them spending like crazy throughout the gas stations and higher cost stuff, like the Monster drinks and everything.
Yeah.
So you would think, economy hit, you wouldn't spend $4 on a freaking energy drink.
Well, so yeah.
But those are still flying off the shelves. So I don't understand it. Behavior's still there.
Behavior changed again in 2008. This is a little bit of a tangent, but applies to what we're talking about here is, in the demand, or not the demand, but the shift in consumer behavior. I saw in 2008 the behavior of the entire consumer market, everything shifted down. So if you were going to Steak and Shake as a family to eat a dinner, right? That's where it's sort of like the Longhorn back then. You would go there and you'd spend whatever it is, probably those dollars, $30, $35, $50 for a family to eat at Steak and Shake. But you go sit down, do the thing, and some drive-through. But the drive-through is super slow.
Have you bought subs lately at any of the sub franchises?
No.
I've blown away. My son and I got 2 medium subs.
$25 or $30.
Yes.
Yeah. $30.
Yeah.
Because it's like $15.
And we didn't even we got 1 bag of chips, one drink,
the meat,
water.
In order to get an actual sub that you enjoy,
still hungry.
You got to do double meat. And now you're up to 35.
I think I'm done eating subs for the rest of my life.
You did the wrong thing. You ventured outside your house. You see, you got to stay home and cook your stuff. I'm telling you. So anyways, So here's what I saw happen. The Steak and Shake, I'm using them as an example because they went, the business model of food shifted. So Steak and Shake was, respectable, not respectable like a nice restaurant, but it was a restaurant. You go sit down, right?
Absolutely.
And then that went to the $4 meal, to the point where when I look at it from a marketing standpoint, when you put a permanent sign that says $4 meals, that means a lot, right?
Yes.
So they became sort of the $4 thing until I don't know if they're still in business, but they started to go out of business because it just didn't work anymore. The economics of their business didn't work anymore. The fast food, which is the next sort of tranche down, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, all of those, they sort of became the new restaurant And then the new fast food became convenience stores, and convenience stores started selling more sandwiches, more roller hot dogs, pizzas. Like you look at Hunt's Brothers Pizza is the best. It's the biggest. Everywhere. It's the biggest pizza restaurant or supplier in
franchise. Probably
it is. And so if you look at the convenience store model, now what happened since 08?
Eaten a pizza? I have.
Yeah.
I've eaten.
Oh yeah.
I've eaten convenience store pizza.
Yeah. If you want to get rocked, go there.
I've had my share.
Have a couple of the, what do they call them? Vampire fingers or something.
Yeah.
All the business models shifted down to consumer behavior to the point is you look at what's thriving today, Wawa.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is Wawa? It's like a fast food. It's a fast food gas station. So it's the new fast food. Now don't
forget Buc-ee's.
Cause I don't know how, that's kind of its own thing. Cause it's entertainment. It's location or, destination driven. It's a lot of things, but I don't know how, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, KFC, Popeyes are still in business. I think most of them, not McDonald's, most of them are owned by PepsiCo. So
going down the road from here just won't be open. And I haven't eaten there in a decade.
Oh yeah.
But it'll be like one employee.
Yeah.
They may not show up. I'm like, why are they even open?
I saw a meme last night that said, you should be allowed to smoke at McDonald's. Like, why not? Right. We do everything else there. Right. And so anyways, you have a multi-generation of quintessential fast food that I think is going to go away very soon. I'm surprised it's still here, but it's a whole other rabbit hole to get to why they're still in business, but they're there not making any money. All right. And then you have Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A was this sort of long burn, right? It's this long burn of we're in malls and we take very calculated next steps of what we do. We don't come up with new products every 5 minutes.
We pick who we want to run our location.
We are very, very calculated, and they've been calculated for a long time, and they still are very calculated. And they outperform, even being off on Sundays, all of those other ones combined. I mean, the numbers are crazy, but they sort of became the new restaurant, because when you go to Chick-fil-A now, you don't see, not like how it used to be, where it's really kid driven, where you have the play place and all, right?
I'd say I haven't been inside in several years.
What you see are a lot of older, boomer and older, and then a lot of younger, new drivers,
the
and
olders used to go to McDonald's for their coffee every morning.
You see, and they still do. I think they're still following there, but they're dying off. So they're But you have a lot of different demographics that are there consuming, and there's value on both sides for the customer and for Chick-fil-A, because they have fell into a calculated move to be the new restaurant, right? Whereas now then you have to jump several tens of dollars, 20s of dollars to get to an actual restaurant.
Good meal, yeah.
Right. So,
but what's funny, those that you've mentioned that are successful too, the common denominator, they all provide a nicer service and environment than every one of those other competitors. Disgusting to go into the other ones.
They looked at what was happening and they responded to the behavior in a way that provides value.
Yeah.
They didn't continue to try to hold on to the old way, which is what I think all those fast foods places are doing.
But I don't think they would have. They were smart, because they would not have been as successful 20 years ago, because people would not have paid also for that. They were getting cheaper and eating less. Yeah. But now it kind of got, I think, normalized after 2008 when people lost their houses, and they still, it didn't kill them.
Yeah.
They rented and got another house. Things got forgiven.
Yeah.
Life went on. And they really, so their buying and everything changed from them. I think we, after that, destroyed the world of savers.
Right.
And it's just, nope, I want that now. I deserve it.
Yeah.
I'm building it. So that, it's gone up, kind of like the base model of what they're willing to pay went up, and then the quality of everything else went down.
Yes. 100%. So I just thought the whole thing was very interesting, how behavior shifted the model of how people eat out. But moving on, I think an interesting one is interest rates and credit availability. Unfortunately, we are now full on into a credit-driven consumer market. Like almost, I mean, you get to the point where you go to try to buy a $60 thing on Amazon and you can finance it. It's like everything has financing attached to it.
It's disastrous. The majority of the companies that are in that field of payments in other countries that have really been in the Australia one, they've gone broke. It's just, that's a bad thing. You know, it's not like the old layaway where, okay, until you paid for it, you could get it. Nope, you get it now, and three payments later you can get it. And it also, too, increases the price of products because fraud is dramatically increased, too.
Yeah.
It just, I know I've mentioned before on other podcast, the buy now, pay later models and have on paper podcast. And that's just, I think it's a bad model generally when it's covering, luxury goods or, wants and not needs.
Yeah. And we have, again, we talked about this in the last episode, inflation, which creates price sensitivity. When inflation's lower, then, buying power is more and people are more willing to go out and spend. That's one that's really kind of hard to really to have any control over inside of your company.
Well, inflation, they have no choice but to spend. I mean,
well, to spend more, but on less typically. Consumer preferences and trends. This is a difficult one, but if you're going to be serving consumers, you need to have a pulse on what people are wanting.
Well, and I was thinking this over the last few weeks, trends. It's not like a new trend is better than the prior previous one. It could go either way. Mm-hmm. I think that's just going to happen through everything because people just get bored.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Or they've gotten used to it and they want to try something new. So trends are just going to continually happen, and maybe they'll be for the better, maybe for the worse, but they just continually change in every facet of business. Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is Stanley, the Stanley Cups. And how they were all the rage, and now they're not. Like if you have a Stanley, you're behind. There's a new one. There's a new one. I don't know the name of it because that's not something I care about.
Yeah,
but there's a new one, and as fast as they rose, I think we talked about this on way back. But that's a business that's like really just made a lot of money. They probably had to spend a lot of money to keep up with demand, but assuming that they still made a lot of money, I would love to know now what happens to Stanley, because they had to have known it's not going to keep going.
Correct. Well, Peloton. I mean, yeah, no kidding. COVID was the best thing that ever could have possibly happened to that industry, and there's no way those sales would have continued on perpetually.
Right.
So hopefully Stanley they used additional revenue to create more efficiencies for themselves.
Yeah, hopefully.
For the future. And knowing like whatever sales they were doing prior to that peak, that if they have those sales again, they can earn more because they got more efficient.
Yeah.
So hopefully they kind of looked at that and just, took advantage of that opportunity. It may not last forever, but it probably will continue to increase their sales because, I mean, I've known Stanley for years. I've seen him at Walmart and camping.
They're long-term.
And coffee. So long-term, steady, good quality company.
Just hope they reinvest and don't get caught up in the current day. Go from 70 million to 700 million in revenue. You're going to go back to like probably 120 million, 150 million. That's probably where you're going to land, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of attrition from all the trend. And then the people who do stick around because they're like, oh, I found my new brand and I actually kind of like all their old school stuff and I want to buy some other stuff. It's going to increase your already 70 million to probably double.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be anywhere near 700 million for some time until you have that next thing. So it's like, we got to put some money in our coffers until we figure out what that next thing is.
Correct.
Right. Otherwise.
And the worst, if they gave everybody a 7 times X raise, are they going to have to come back on that one when the sales drop?
Yeah.
Or, that's just when you bonus your employees.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Because, you got to be looking out for the future health of the business.
Yeah.
Another one is technology and digitalization. I think about this like sort of pathways that your customers have to you. Like if you're only selling in this one form, honestly, this is a way that a lot of consumer directed companies could grow, is what are some other pathways that people could buy from you that you can meet them at? If you're just selling brick and mortar retail, why are you not online? If you're just online, why don't you consider a hybrid or some kind of partnership or something that has more, footprint involved? If people are coming to you, why can't you go to them? Like all the different ways to meet them where they're at and make that buying experience more rich and more valuable, I think is well worth the investment of time and money and whatever.
I mean, I think now our next episode needs to go to what are the current drivers? What are we seeing in the current market plans, and what companies can kind of do from here on and going through, because all those drivers can exist now, looking specific into what is affecting today.
Yeah.
And of course, all of those are affecting, and to what degree, obviously each one of those, depending on the height, are a bigger lever at any given time.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Yeah. So I think next one we take in all the factors that are existing currently,
the major ones. Yeah. And then dive into them.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's do it.
All right. Next episode.
All right.